theme is deepening the capital markets through leveraging of pension funds. I'd like to give us your thoughts on the theme of this year's conference.
The deepening of Nigeria's capital market through pension funds, I think is a good thing, but for me, I'd rather address this from the base, the pension, which is the base of investable funds. Again, you cannot divorce the history of Nigerian pension industry, where in the past things were unfunded. So the first stage is where people want extreme liquidity of the pension fund, and maybe we're getting ready for that second phase. But this money is still not a lot. In my mind, 5 trillion is not enough. The number of contributors, those are the things I feel we need to work on. And I think that is where the innovation would have to come. The scheme itself, we need to think through strategic incentives to Nigerians. And I'm not sure it's just going to be about we need to get informal sector in. There has to be incentive that is motivating people on their own to organize themselves into clusters of where up to 8 and 10, and they start contributing pension. And I mean, I've said it a couple of times in this country. For me, it's housing. So the monies will be available for roads. The money will be available for, all those things you mentioned, as long as one, they're bankable and there'll be cash flows from it. So nobody's going to, no investment manager running people's pension will invest the funds in what is not bankable. But I think the biggest thing in this country will be housing for most people. And we've talked about this in the past, that if there's an incentive that I will get a home under this scheme, you don't need to talk about informal sector struggling whether they will come in. They will come in. That's number one. So we have to fashion that out, and it's not about just mortgage. So if you ask me, an asset class that pension money can go should be the houses or the housing credit of the contributors, and that is like the blood circulatory system. They contribute the money. Why should they remain tenants? For me, the contributors should be able to take something out of this scheme, and it should be about owning a home. That is where I will start. I'm not saying we shouldn't allow them to invest in infrastructure projects. They should, if it's bankable, because not everything will go into the homes. And it is not about allowing part of their contributions to be used as mortgage. How many mortgages do we have in the country? So the structure of that housing has to change. It's not going to be by mortgage. It's going to be by this contributor owning a home after some time. So if we set 3-5 years, then that drives savings in the country, because people will save towards that equity to put into the homes. And immediately he buys the home, that credit becomes an asset class that pension assets can go into. The bank will first fund it, then they will sell it. And then some people will pack all the different ones and securitize them. And that's how deepening of the capital market would occur. So I like the theme you've chosen, and I think you put a credible team to of the best brains in this country to discuss it. But we really need to be sure that we're getting innovative. And I think if we start with that housing program, and that drives incentive for people, gets Nigerians working, developers building because they know people will take the houses, you energize the economy, and we know what that does, the multiply effects. Then you put, the base keeps growing, and then there'll be monies that will, again, bankable projects, we have to compete for those money.
I would like you to give us an insight on what to expect from your presentation and your presence at this year's annual Capital Market Conference.
Thank you. We would, as you said, we like throwing up ideas that will challenge thoughts. So our presentation, just like the company itself, is going to, we're going to work hard to, throw up one or two ideas, and that, we have to be ready as a country for these big programs that would address the gaps and the needs of Nigerians. It's gotten to that point.
And finally, what message will you be sending to the government and other regulatory agencies at the conference?
Nigerians have to see that government is credible, and to be sure that pronouncements are not, things that are just statements, mere statements. And I think we must be ready to roll up our sleeves to design programs that will make things work. And so the government needs to bring that commitment to the table. And once that is on the table, and you should trust that Nigerians will unleash the entrepreneurial spirit behind some of these projects. Once it's bankable, I think there's going to be a period, and the government has to be honest with that, where the federal government guarantee will be required. And it's after you do one or two projects, and people will forget the issue of federal government guarantee, because some of these things are novel today. But the pension industry, I think, is ready. I think what we need is to increase the base of investable funds, but the government has to, put his hand on the plow. That commitment is so key. We can't have an idea, it features in the budget, people start working out, then you pull back last minute. It doesn't work, and it destroys the energy.